Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is Christmas Eve, so today's article is very fitting. It is titled, 5 Gold Rings I'd Rather Have Silver. Also mentioning that demand for rare metals is likely to soar over the next 10 years. And this brings up a good point. It's not just silver that is extremely scarce. Silver is the most scarce with the most uses, but there are some others. It also goes on to say that all I want for Christmas is silver, copper, uranium rings, plus a little bit of recycled gold. I thought that was pretty funny and very fitting, but at the end of the day, I still think silver has the most potential, and I think that's a given. But there are other metals out there, and I want to pass the question on to you. Do you invest in anything else? For me personally, gold is the only other metal I feel comfortable investing into. When I invest into something, I need to understand that asset thoroughly. I don't know enough about platinum and palladium. Maybe I should, but I just don't at this point in time. But anyways, let's keep moving on. So goes on to say when gold plunged to $1,355 in April of 2013, financial advisors lined up to warn me that the metal was just speculation and not a traditional investment because it didn't pay an income. But all I should have asked for Christmas in 2013 was the investment equivalent of 5 gold rings, shares in iShares physical gold. 10 years later, I would have doubled my money as gold passed $2,000 to reach record highs. Fortunately, I haven't missed out on all these gains as I hold about 5% of my pension in gold for its unique profile. It has historically low correlation with other asset classes and acts like an insurance policy during falling markets and times of geopolitical stress. But thinking over the next 10 years, should I and others who hold gold pocket some of our gains and diversify into other metals, particularly in light of the demand for rare metals promised by this month's COP28 agreement? Good question. Gold is a monetary metal. Gold isn't heavily used in electronics as we try to go green and solar panels and EVs. That's silver. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say maybe you should trade in some gold for silver, as silver has more potential than gold. And silver's more scarce, and silver is a lot more undervalued. If you're going to invest into something, wouldn't you want to invest into something that's undervalued instead of overvalued? Or just whatever asset is more undervalued, because that means when the value starts to equivalate, that value goes upwards. Especially looking at the gold to silver ratio around 80-1. The only way the ratio can go, if you're talking about normalizing, would be down. And if it goes down, that means that silver is outperforming gold. When the ratio goes up, that means gold is outperforming silver. So it's technically saying that silver is going to outperform gold over time. So silver may be best placed to add some extra shine to your portfolio. Not only is it a precious metal with a history of coinage, but it's used in photovoltaic or solar energy. This Victoria Scholar, head of investment at UK broker Interactive Investor, says gold has fared better than silver lately because of gold's safe haven properties. But this means that silver is more undervalued than gold, potentially providing an opportunity for fundamental investors. Yes, that's a good point. Ned Leyland, manager of Jupiter Gold and Silver Fund, warns that silver's structural supply issue is also very frustrating. You can see silver leaving London and going abroad. Indians are very keen on silver for jewelry. Solar panel demand is off the scale. You can't just satisfy the demand, and sadly, it doesn't drive the price in the short term, he says. Keyword short term, especially given that silver is manipulated right now. Suppression, which I'm going to be making a very detailed video on this suppression very soon, probably tomorrow. It's a very big video because it talks about silver demand from the Silver Institute, but it doesn't include a lot of sectors that it needs to. For example, military. There's 500 ounces of silver in a single Tomahawk missile, but when they talk about silver demand, Silver Institute's numbers do not incorporate military. And a couple of others that are very important, like aerospace, robotics and AI, military, which is bombshells, missiles, tanks, fighter jets, nukes, night vision, communication, aerospace like satellites, rockets, spacecraft, robotics, AI, electric trains, magnetic MRIs, nuclear power plants. None of that is incorporated in the Silver Institute's annual demand. So then incorporating London, also going into the COMEX corruption and the LBMA, which shows some very interesting and suspicious numbers, plus the above ground supplies dwindling, you can see that people that want to talk about silver being plentiful or above ground stocks being plentiful is either purposely misleading their audience or is just completely out of touch with reality or just isn't doing their homework or all three, who knows. But anyways, yeah, that's gonna be a big video. I wanted to mention that though because that did go along with how you cannot satisfy the demand. Silver tends to move together with gold while typically being a more volatile, coming with greater risk but potentially more rewards. That is that double that's that phrase a lot of people will say, silver is the best of both worlds, or it's like gold on steroids. It's greater risk, right? If gold drops 5%, silver will drop 10%. So it's more exaggerated. It's a lot riskier, but it also offers more rewards because if gold rises 5%, silver can rise 10, 15%. It's more exaggerated. It's like gold on steroids. So Ned Naylor says the ratio of gold to silver being mined is 12 to 1. I think it's a lot smaller than 12 to 1, especially given that silver is a byproduct and most silver is thrown away. But anyways, ratio during COVID was 12, or the gold to silver ratio, which this was insane, in March of 2020 was 125 to 1. 125 to 1, meaning it took 125 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold. That is insane. We'll be reading about that in history books. And when that was happening, silver was around $11, $10, $11. Wait, Silver Slayer? There's no way. Silver was $30 in February 2021. During the Wall Street Silver Movement, it was $30. You're saying the year before that, almost to the day, silver was $11, $10? Yeah, it was. And I was screaming at people to buy silver, but guess what? Most people were selling it. It's crazy. When the price is extremely low, people sell. When the price is higher, everyone buys. When all the hype is there. Just do the opposite of everyone else, and you'll be a great investor, successful. But anyways, yeah, it goes on to say today's silver pricing at 80 to 1 makes it potentially an interesting entry point, and if there's a delivery failure, its price could rocket. That's good enough for me. And that delivery failure is definitely something that is not too unrealistic, as we just saw military raiding U.S. silver stockpiles because military is so widely used in silver. And imagine if the military cannot get enough silver to make their nukes or make their Tomahawk missiles or make their, what did it say? There were so many different things that silver is used for in military. So imagine that could determine the status of winning a war or losing a war. So do you think the military cares about how much silver we need for something else when we need silver for satellites and all that? No. And I'm sure you agree with that. It's just something that everyone wants a slice of the silver pie, but there's just not enough pie to go around. And that's what he's saying right here. That's good enough for me to think that $25 is extremely cheap for an ounce of silver. I don't want the hassle of insuring and storing silver apart from holding on to silver spoon collection my grandma left me, so he buys shares. I don't agree with that at all. That makes no sense. He would rather put it in a bank where he can never see it or never touch it with his hands or have to go through a lot of ropes to do so. It's just, that's silly to me. This article still is very good. It still draws the same points. It's just I don't agree I would just say hold it instead if you can, unless you have too much silver, then yeah, I would put it in a segregated account with Miles Franklin because I know where it's stored and I'm in direct contact. My friend is the CEO of the company. I don't know any of those other companies. I don't know what they do with it. I don't know. So me personally, I would recommend them. Because I actually know where it's going and where it's held at. But do you? I'm just saying, for my audience, I want to make sure my audience is safe, and that is, in my opinion, not even opinion, that is literally the safest place I know. But anyways, yeah, looking at the most popular customer holdings, and by the way, Slayer at milesfranklin.com if you want to buy silver and hold it for yourself or put it in, in storage somewhere. I can do both. But anyways, looking at most popular customer holdings on Interactive Investors, it's a toss-up between Wisdom Tree and iShares. Who cares, right? Who cares? Let's keep moving on. Okay, this is a good point, though. You need to be careful on how you buy and hold them. That is a good point. Silver storage and security is very, very real. And it's something that you do need to think about. So because of its efficiency as an electricity conductor, copper is instrumental in the global push to reach zero net emissions. But copper will never replace silver. Copper is a close second in terms of electrical conductivity, but silver is the number one asset, is the number one in terms of electrical conductivity, thermal conductivity, electricity, and light sensitivity. Copper is a close second in terms of thermal conductivity, but it's not even worth it because the amount of copper it would take, especially how high performing silver is compared to copper, it just wouldn't make sense. And I've covered a lot of research on this, scientists mentioning it. So nothing can replace silver that's worth it. All they can do is try to cut back the amount of silver they use. Copper is used in electricity grids, electric vehicles, renewable energy technologies, means energy transition is leading to potentially a huge expansion in copper demand. But have you ever held like a kilo bar before? Think about a copper kilo bar, which is like $5. Like, it's not, if you want to talk about storage, that is where storage would come in. If you had $100,000 of copper, it would take up an entire bathroom, just normal sized bathroom. Where silver, it's a lot more realistic if you're going to invest large amounts. So according to Goldman Sachs, just 4% of copper consumption in 2020 was allocated to green usage. By 2030, it'll be 17%. So anyways, I was curious if you do invest into copper or gold or uranium. But anyways, I want to go into what he says down here because this is some important stuff. All of these metals, silver, copper, and uranium, could receive a boost from the pledges on renewable and nuclear energy at COP28. Elephant in the room was enormous demands, while these pledges will make already scarce metals with valuable industrial uses that gold simply doesn't have. And it's a good point. A lot of people say gold is better than silver, but I don't see where they're coming from when they say that, because silver is the same exact role that gold does, but an entirely different one that makes silver extremely, even more so than what makes gold have value, which is that monetary metal reliant of the dollar's demise, which, that's going to happen. But when we're talking about silver being needed for wars, to remember what I was talking about, silver in military is something that a lot of people overlook. And when I say a lot of people, even the number one source of silver data, the Silver Institute's annual silver survey, their annual numbers that every other company goes off, the holy grail of silver information, doesn't even incorporate military demand into their annual demand, which exceeded 1.21 billion ounces, and they did not incorporate military and a lot of other ones in that. And it goes in to mention that right here. Where does it say that? It's up here. It's up here. Okay, stick with me because this is very important. So all silver is coming to fulfill all these types of military uses, and other demand is another story. Are these secret government silver stockpiles in the U.S. and somewhere else? Is silver supply coming from unidentified mines? I mean, who knows? Because look at this. Silver categorizes, or Silver and Metals Focus categorizes silver demand. In all of its reporting, it breaks down silver demand in the following broad categories: investment, jewelry, silverware, silver demand in photography, industrial demand. Now, it goes into investment demand, which is silver coin and bars, jewelry, self-explanatory, silverware, photography, electrical and electronics, brazing alloys, and other. But check this out. Still, these categories for industrial are very high level in general, not very granular, and they do not convey much information. But down here, it says, in summary, these additional uses, and this is from John Forrest Little's Totally Right, the person that wrote the article talking about how military raided U.S. silver stockpiles, is totally right, since the reference seen in the Silver Institute's 2023 World Silver Survey to military uses of silver is in relation to contact materials, where it merely says last year saw a robust offtake, defense aerospace sector. Additionally, the data was published that says military, which is bombs, shells, missiles, tanks, fighter jets, nukes, night vision goggles, communication devices, bullets, etc. Aerospace, which is satellites, rockets, spacecraft, lasers, robotics, AI, heavy machinery, electric trains, all of this. Where all the silver is coming from to fulfill these types of military and other demand is another story. Are these secret government silver stockpiles in the U.S. somewhere else? Right? Because if it's not added in, where is it coming from? Adding to the Silver Academy additional uses, Metals Focus gives a combined list as follows, which now they incorporate all of this, which is military and aerospace. So then to mention all that, above ground supplies is dwindling. Then you can go into the paper side of things where it's not equivalent, and then you can go into the Shanghai Gold Exchange. I mean, there's a lot to this, and that's just to wrap things up very quickly, but this is a whole separate video. As you can see, there's a lot of data there, but just wanted to mention on top of this where they're talking about these metals could receive a boost from renewable and nuclear energy. Elephant in the room was enormous demands, and just like the silver's role in the green economy seminar that I watched from the Silver Institute, and Metals Focus, Phillips Baker was in it as well, and he mentioned that they're talking about silver's role, obviously, in the green economy and moving forward. Do we have enough silver? Where's silver going to come from? How is this possible? The elephant in the room was asked, but the elephant in the room was asked, and it was a blatant lie, because he said there is, but every single piece of information, data that was ever posted says otherwise, and he himself even said otherwise after he said that statement. So anyways, in the meantime, reviewing his gold exposure, he became a fan of Monica Vinader, the recycled jewelry maker, hoping Santa will bring me as small as something from Christmas. Anyways, just sounds like he's just plugging some people, promoting them. But at the end of the day, it was a great article. I really enjoyed this. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to like the video, leave a comment. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Make sure you subscribe because I post daily silver videos. Thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.